What is up? Welcome back, Game Brigade. My name is Brian, and today we are going to be doing another crowdfunding roundup where we're going to be talking about all the games on Kickstarter or GameFound that are ending this week. This is part of the Skipper Back series that we've done on the show. It's actually been a while since we've done one of these episodes, as I've been trying to mentally think of how can I make this series better or more useful for my audience. So probably going forward, I'm going to probably do what I'm doing here, but moving it to a Monday. I know this will be uploading on a Tuesday. As I mentioned in my community update, I was very, very sick this week, and unfortunately I wasn't able to film. But I'm hoping going forward, this series will be released on Monday. And I hope that'll be a weekly thing. So let's hopefully we get some accountability with myself and go forward with that. So without further ado, okay, so for the first game, we're taking a look at Critter Kitchen from Cardboard Alchemy. This is a 1 to 5 player game and about 60 minutes of gameplay. And this is going to give a lot of people reminiscences of Flamecraft. Same company that designed the game, same artist who does the art, same almost feel in terms of the row of cards that you're going to be playing. But this is going to be a worker placement game that have different powered workers. And so the idea of this game is you're going to be building a kind of a dish. You're creating some sort of meal or planning, and you're going to have to get resources to create that dish. So you're going to have to send your workers out to gather different types of ingredients and resources from different areas on the board. So players in secret are going to set where they're going to send their workers, and they're going to assign their fast worker, their medium worker, and their super slow worker, who have each different powers, to go to those locations. Now the fast worker will be the first person in line to grab something, but you can only carry one resource. And actually it kind of shows you right here, the medium worker will be in the middle and can carry 2, while your slow one can carry up to 3 resources. The strategic point of this game, though, is let's say a location has so many types of resources available, and you send your 3 worker to that location, and someone sends the 2 person to that same location. Well, that 2 person is going to gather 2 resources, and maybe there's only going to be 1 left for your 3 person to gather. So you're going to have to think about the strategy of where do I send my worker to get the most resources in a turn. So this is going to have those deluxe meeples that you're going to see here with the screen printed meeples. Very, very much akin to the same thing I saw with Flamecraft. And I have to mention, Flamecraft was very, very well received in terms of the aftermarket. So if that's something you're concerned about is picking up games later, it was very hard to find and very, very expensive. So just be aware of that. So let's take a look at the pledge levels that are currently offered. They have the standard brunch. This is a $40. They're listing at $65 MSRP. But the deluxe diner is the one that most people are going to be looking for. So the Critter Kitchen Deluxe Edition game comes with the a la carte expansion content and all the unlocked deluxe edition stretch goals, which includes those silkscreen custom wooden chef meeples and the zoo chefs. So that was those items, those deluxe items in Flamecraft were so in demand that people really, really wanted them. So I highly recommend, if this is a game you're looking for, if this is something you're interested in, to pick up the deluxe edition. I probably would skip on the standard brunch edition because Flamecraft went to retail and it was easily findable around $29 at retail. So I suspect this will probably do the same. They had a collaboration with Lucky Duck, who was kind of handling their retail outlet. But if that's, if you want to guarantee yourself the game and you're okay with that price at the standard edition, $40 isn't too bad for what you're getting. It does look like light gameplay, but that doesn't seem to matter when people have cute little meeples that they can move around with. Next, we're looking at Spirit Fire. This is from Orange Nebula, and I did a Should You Back video on this one. So this has got 16 hours, so there's only going to be about 8 hours left by the time this video goes live. And Spirit Fire came under fire for its really, really poor launch in terms of telling people what this game was, how it played, and kind of the reason as to why you'd want to own this game. In my Should You Back video, I tried my hardest to let you guys know what this game was from everything I was able to gather. And I even had people commenting, Brian, you basically said nothing, so what's the point of this video? And I'm like, I get it. I tried my best, but that's on the company to really tell us what they're selling. I can't tell you what I don't know. But I will say this, Orange Nebula has kind of righted the ship, although maybe a little too late, in terms of releasing content that is helpful for people to understand more of what this game does, the gameplay mechanics, kind of the idea behind it. With these gameplay overviews, they have gameplay now with instructions like how this game plays. They've done a lot of these kind of videos, and if you go to their actual YouTube page here, you can see all the different types of videos they've been releasing where they give you more information regarding this content. So that's something you can check out. What is Spiritfire again in the overarching scope? It's a solo only game. Now they will tell you it's drop-in multiplayer, but really you're spending $100 for a single box, which is playable by you yourself. If you have another friend who wants to spend $100, that is possible, but it's going to be very, very rare. So if I'm looking at this game, I'm looking at it as a solo experience, and it's a game where you are going to create your character who's going to have different types of unique abilities, of course unique based on what's available in the game, but you're going to kind of set up these perks which will give you kind of a guiding path, and as you go through this changing world, it's going to give you different types of challenges, and then you're going to have to use those skills that you started the game with to complete these challenges and unlock new abilities or enhance yourself in some ways. It's purely a story-based evolution of your character as you progress through growing your character through different types of skills and managements. Again, solo only. It's narrative-based. I do think Origin creates a really wonderful game, and from what I've seen of the gameplay overview, it does seem like there is something here to look at. It's a little pricey for me at the current core pledge of the $99, and I'm also not a solo gamer, so I'll be skipping on this one, but I can see a reason to back this if this is something that you are interested in, as the fact that they're also doing kind of a living card game-esque experience where they're going to be releasing additional adventure packs for you to delve into, as well as more personality traits that you can customize with your starting character. I think that's cool and something that could be really innovative in the board game space. So I'd love to see more of that kind of stuff going forward. Next, we have Wondrous Creatures. This is a worker placement tableau building game doing quite well right now by Bad Comet. This has got $244,000 right now with 31 hours left to go. And effectively, this game is kind of another take on the worker placement mechanic. Very simple mechanics. So let me come down here and show you here. You are going to place your worker, and it's going to take up 2 of the hexagonal tiles here, and it triggers anything that it touches. And so you can grab either resources or a card with a matching symbol. And so if you grab a card, you're eventually going to play those cards into your tableau and gaining, powers and abilities based on the things that you're getting from those cards, but you're also going to need resources to get those things. So it's just kind of a hand management or a worker placement management system. As things get more bottled up and more stuff gets on the board, it's going to get more difficult in the puzzle of finding out the best way to place your workers each turn to get the maximized resources. It's doing relatively very well. Not really a game that I would be interested in, but if we come down to the pledge levels here, they have the crew tier, which is $55, gets you the game and all the applicable stretch goals. They're giving you about a 15% off of what they're $10 off, about 15% off of what their MSRP is. And they have the captain tier, which includes the expansion content, the gargantuan beasts, and all the upgraded components. So not something that I'm personally interested in terms of backing myself, but I can see the idea of people liking these kind of worker placement games that gives you kind of a fun tableau system, which has kind of different gameplay each time you play. It's kind of cool to check it out. So we have the Morrison Game Factory. This is from Post Curious. This is a 1 to 4 player game, 2 to 4 hours total gameplay from what I can tell you. So what is Morrison Game Factory? Well, this is a narrative puzzle game that blends kind of like puzzles and escape rooms and interactive things. The best thing I could tell you is I played a game, I reviewed a game from Hunt a Killer, which is a box that you get all the components, and it has all these things that are like artifacts of the world that you're in, emails, letters, napkins, a lock, maybe like a jewelry piece. And these are all pieces that have clues embedded in them, and you have to kind of solve them. That's kind of the same thing you're going to get here. You're going to get your box. It's going to have some of these kind of artifacts and things for you to play with. You're going to have to solve the puzzle and the story behind what happened here at the Morrison Game Factory. So the story is, the lead up to this is that you are sent to this place to pick up a package, and you find out it's kind of like abandoned. And so you're going to go through this world investigating things by completing the puzzles and the challenges and whatnot. But yeah, this is a kind of a game where you would play for the single shot experience. This is not something you're going to play over and over. This is a singular experience. You're going to get to the end of the story and be like, wow, that's fun. So if you actually go to the FAQ here, they do have a section as the game replayable or resettable. They recommend that it's not really replayable based off of knowing all the puzzles and the answers, but it is resettable, and they give you kind of an idea of how you would reset that. So whenever I deal with a game that is kind of like this, I always use the movie experience kind of pledge line in terms of, do I get the same amount of experience from watching a movie at a theater comparatively to this? So, and it's hard because movie theaters are kind of becoming outdated. No one really goes to the theater anymore. I still do, but not as much as I used to. And that used to be about $10 a ticket. It might be closer to $15 now, depending on the type of theater you go to. And if you go with your partner or your children, it can be, between $45 and $60 in just tickets alone. So we're looking at, and that's for about a 2-hour experience. So here we are looking at this single shot game at $40. So you can kind of maybe use that kind of algorithm that I kind of mentioned in terms of what to experience. I personally have seen and played these games closer to the $30 mark. So you're paying that $10 surcharge on this one. But it also depends on how many different types of artifacts and kind of unique puzzles that they're interchanging in this, because that's really where the enjoyment of these games come from. Luckily, if you look at the shipping tier here, the shipping is not too bad. I believe it's only about a $5 for the continental US, so that's relatively reasonable. Doesn't eat too much into the total cost of the game, so that's really great. So this is one I was interested in. I'm not going to back it, but I think it's something cool, and I'd love to see it. And if I ever had a chance to play it, I would love to play this with my family. So that is the Morrison Game Factory. Next, we have, I'm always down in the middle. I need to make sure I don't do that. Secrets of the Lost Tomb, the Epic Remastered Edition. This is the 10-year anniversary here for this game, Secrets of the Lost Tomb. What I can tell you of this game, it's an old game. It's very loved by people who have played this game, but I would say, first, temper yourself and understand these are going to have old mechanics circa 2010 to 2015, where these games had not as refined styles. Now I haven't played this game, but based on what I've seen and what I know of these types of titles. But what I can tell you is that this is going to harken back to the era of when dungeon crawlers were true, good dungeon crawlers. We don't really get actual dungeon crawlers much anymore. You hear the term dungeon crawler thrown out a lot, and I don't think in terms of the board games we get, we really have that happening. I don't see true dungeon crawlers like Descent around as much as you used to have. Secrets of the Lost Tomb is kind of a callback to those games. And what I liked what they've done here is they have taken all their original game and they basically revamped the UI to bring it up to more standards of the 2020 era, to give, let's modernize the look of this game, make it a little bit more physically pleasing to the player, and also kind of refine the text and the abilities and make things a little bit more succinct and fix those gameplay elements. I think that's really cool. They're also coming in here and saying, okay, let's add some expansions that have been hard to find and give players an opportunity to kind of get things that they haven't been able to collect for the last 10 years. Give you an opportunity to get all those things with brand new updated art, which is cool. So they actually you come down here, they have a kind of a shower of here's what's been updated and here's what's new. So you can see the original art for some of the artifacts or some of the companions. They've also changed the art, or not the art, the text and how these cards are working, which is great. The creatures that you'll be facing, the items, and even the player boards. They've changed the entire player board system, and I believe they're doing. They say clamshell. I don't know if that means it's dual layer. I'd love to know if this is dual layer. I'm not sure what clamshell overlay means. But yeah, just updating this because this looks real old, right? This almost looks like 1990s. So I'm glad that they've kind of gone through in here and updated these tiles and made things a little bit better. So overall, this is looking pretty cool. Now, if we go here to the rewards, they have the adventure pledge, $100. You can get this game. You can click on these every time you're on GameFound. I always recommend clicking it so you can see what you're going to get, which is the core game, the custom dice pack here, and the secret expansion. So those are everything that you're going to be getting with the adventure pack, and you can kind of get into a really high, like pledge levels with this game. So this is something to be aware of. Definitely getting expensive. I do appreciate though. This is something that's cool about GameFound is that they are offering kind of these bold letters here right in the middle, kind of the stretch pay like banner, like, yes, this is $100, but with stretch pay, it can be $10 a month. It's kind of a trap in terms of marketing, so be aware of that. But it is also appreciative when you have, a huge pledge that maybe you're really interested in, and no one wants to drop $600 one month for a game. So that is something that is interesting. I love the idea of going back to these old school dungeon crawlers. I feel like the last one I played that really felt like a true old school dungeon crawler was, I can't remember the name of it. It's a CMON game. I can't remember the name of it, so I'm not even going to keep going with it. But yeah, old school dungeon crawler, kind of harkening back to the 2020s, or 2010s, which is cool. So next we have, see here I am scrolled all the way down to the middle. We've got Dream Escape. Now this is from Bad Cat Games. One player, so solo experience, plays about 30 to 120 minutes per scenario. And this is a card-driven hybrid, kind of choose your own adventure game where you are going to use skills and abilities based on the cards and the abilities that you have unlocked to kind of move your way through the game. So what do I mean by that? So you are going to pick a scenario and you're going to draw the card and you're going to read the card. In fact, it might be easier to just come up to the video that I was on here. Make sure we kill the sound. And when you're watching this video, maybe it's not this video. I was watching another video somewhere. This is where you fix it and you edit it out. Oh, here we go. So if you have a card here, it's going to have a bunch of flavor text for you to read, kind of giving you what's happening, which is really good. It's very flavorful, very well written. I'll give them that. And at the bottom here, it's going to give you your options of what you can do. So you can remain in this section if you have this ability and what it can do, or you can find the area dedicated to the Elder Gods instead if you have this ability, or you can study the collection history of the Dreamlands. So based on the skills your character has and the difficulty of the check, you are then going to grab some tokens and you're going to flip them, or you're going to roll them in some way. And based on the results of those will give you if you're successful or not, and then you'll go to a specific page or a card and continue your story. So again, very much choose your own adventure, RPG, horror, which I think is cool, kind of a horror survival-like experience, which I think is cool. So if we come down here to the rewards, you have the Essential Edition here, 56 pounds, so be aware of that. You have the Deluxe Edition, which is going to have some upgraded tokens, so those are those tokens you're going to be flipping. Some additional stuff. These are for your character boards, to upgrade your characters and to indicate what skills you've unlocked, as well as 2 expansions. And then they have the Dreamer All-In. This is getting pretty high up there, $155 for the solo experience, but it's going to get you all these cards. It's kind of cool insert, this playmat, all the expansions and everything you could ever imagine as you go through this solo experience. When I look at this and I compare it to, say, like Spiritfire, you have a very comparable price. I'm curious, Spiritfire only gives you a few scenarios, so you're definitely going to get more experience in terms of storytelling from something like, say, Dream Escape. It depends on where are you setting up, because Spiritfire has more mechanical experiments that you're going to do, while this is more of rolling those chips and deciding what's successful and what's not. So that's Dream Escape by Bad Cat Games. Here we have the Gilded Realm. This is a resource management management game and a kingdom building game. Basically, you are going to first set up cards that you're going to be wanting to play. You draw cards and you're going to play cards into this building queue. And as things move down the building queue, it's going to be deciding what cards you're going to be upgrading into your kingdom. So these are kind of your kingdom ships, and these are those cards right here that they've been upgraded to, which are going to increase your production and the things that you can do. But then you also have to contend with your opponents, who are going to be, either combative or also doing something, trying to get more resources from you. And there's also kind of like an AI faction that you have to contend with as well, and make sure you're defending. So you can't just build economy all the time, because you have to worry about other people also screwing with you. There's also a secret kind of token, this little castle doodad here, which on the bottom of it, you will kind of select what your round focus is going to be. So you can kind of be a focus on economics, which is going to benefit a specific region of your kingdom, or you can do defensive if you want to defend against the roaming enemies, or you can be aggressive if you want to attack one of your opponents. So I kind of like that kind of gameplay. These kind of Euro games have usually poor player interaction, so I am incentivized and excited to see what kind of player interaction you are getting from this one, and how that combat works and how it plays. This is up to 4 players, but if you get I believe it's up to 4 players, and there's 4 asymmetrical factions. You'll see there's a standard edition and a deluxe edition. The retail price for the standard edition, $64. That includes just the 4 factions. The deluxe edition, normally you would think it's going to have higher components and whatnot. Instead, it's actually including a solo edition, so a solo variant, and then that solo variant includes 2 more asymmetrical factions, which increases your faction count to 6 instead of 4 than the retail game. I kind of wish they weren't bundled, because I personally don't care about the solo variant of the deluxe edition, but I would love to have the 2 other factions, because I think that's important in a game like this when you have asymmetrical powers and you want to have as much gameplay variance as possible with your friends. It is also key to note that there is a late pledge increase that they're notifying you of right now. So late pledge price will be $77 for the standard and $101 for the deluxe edition. So that's a significant increase over the Kickstarter price. So if this is a game you're interested in, I would tell you to back now rather than later, because there will be a significant price increase in that regard. Now, the only thing I would love to know they don't look like they have it answered here, is if a $1 pledge would get you access to the late pledge, and if you've locked in the Kickstarter pricing. Because my always recommendation is to back at $1, and then when the pledge manager comes, to really give yourself an option to see if this game is for you. So the next title, as we're coming down here to the end of the list, Acreon's Fall by Rampart Design. So first off, there are a little bit of red flags that I have with this campaign. So just so you know that, so I would say, do as much research as you can as you're pledging something like this one, because this is an ambitious title, which has a lot of things going on for it in terms of the mechanics and mechanisms that they're trying to accomplish. And I have seen for these kind of indie designers who have done this, some of them have still yet to deliver. So who knows? Just giving you guys my warning there. But what we have here is a game that is going to be set in space, and it's a combat, kind of a space naval combat system game, where you are going to be taking on a kind of a capital ship, and you're going to be maneuvering through space, dealing damage and attacking your opponents. Now, this one is using kind of the momentum, idea of that space. If I trigger my boosters, I can kind of drift around. And they even say that using your weapons can also change your trajectory. This is very reminiscent of a game that I remember covering in like 2021 called like Velocity something. I can't remember, something Velocity, which also used kind of momentum and whatnot. This game also includes a bunch of your mechanics of your ship, like changing your power outlets and whatnot. There's a bunch of stuff going on, a lot of mechanisms, a lot of rules that are going to need to be covered and made sure to be succinct. And that's some of the reasons why I would personally give red flags to this one, is that there's going to be a lot of stuff that has to be covered. It's coming from an international publishing house, which means a non-English designer is going to be working on this one. And so not that that's necessarily a bad thing. It's just that you have to, make sure that all the rules are really well written and translated well to English so that we can get an experience of what the game's designer was intending. So that's this one. So if you look at the pledge list, they have a few different pledges. Their captain pledge here is €85, and the core box, I believe, comes with just 4 ships. So just be aware of that. 4 ships for €85, about $100. The commander's pledge is where a lot of people are going to be looking for, because it's going to give you a lot more of those different types of ships for you to add to your armada, that you can play with. Funny I said armada, because that's a space Star Wars real game that kind of feels similar, but not really. And I play armada, and I think I would probably stick with that system. Fantasy Flight Games designed it. It's a really clean system. So personally, I'm skipping on Archon's Fall. There's too many red flags for me to really want to dive into this one or to give a recommendation for. Finally, we are coming up on the last few here. We have Soulforge Fusion Digital plus Last Winter. And I can't tell you how surprised I am at how poorly this one is doing. I played Soulforge Fusion at Gen Con, and the digital version, and I believe the Fusion is digital, I'm not sure. But I played the digital version at Gen Con when I went to the booth here, and really, really enjoyed it. It's a really solid experience, really, really good game. And I don't know if it's because it's the digital variant that board gamers are just hesitant on. I don't know, because, obviously we are analog gamers for the most part. We don't really delve into the digital realm, but they are showing The Last Winter, which is part of their physical product line. But seeing only 834 backers is shocking here, because this is a very, very good card game. So what is Soulforge? Well, it's kind of a procedurally generated game. I'm trying to see if I can find some kind of stuff, where you will have a deck, and it's going to be like, these are the cards you're going to utilize, and you put those cards together, and it's an upgraded system. So you're going to have 30 cards total, but your deck is going to consist of only 10 cards of level 1, and then you're going to have 10 cards of those same cards but level 2, and then 10 cards of the same cards but they're level 3. And when you play a card, every time you play a card, you're going to take a card from the upgraded section that's out of the game, and you're going to put that into your discard. If the card you played, say it's a creature, dies, it is put into like a banished zone. It's removed from the game, so it's never put back in your discard pile. So you'll play a card. Once it's done, it's done. Even spells, like which have one-time effects, you'll play that card, use its effect, and it's gone, but you are upgrading it and getting a better version of that card, which I think is really cool. It's also a lane battler here, which you can see on the video. Depending on where you play your cards into specific lanes, it's going to be interacting with your opponent's stuff in front of you, dealing damage. Everything happens simultaneously during the combat phase, so everything will just attack each other and do whatever damage. If there's nothing in front of you blocking you, you'll deal your damage to your opponent, with your end goal trying to be to reduce your opponent's health total to 0 from 50. I really like this game, but when I played the digital version, I was like, this is great. I would love to play it in person. I didn't have the opportunity to do that. But this is a playable game in person, so I'm not sure what's better in terms of playing online or on digital. But they do give you the opportunity to, whatever pack you get that has those procedurally generated decks for you, there's a QR code in it which you can scan, and they'll put it into your digital library so you can play those online. What I do like about this online variant is it gives you the opportunity to play against people on like throughout the world, and you can play ranked games. Give you a lot more opportunity to actually play with your cards than you would with your friends, which is kind of cool. I just don't know if like the way they presented this, being almost a purely digital showing to the board gamers, might have hurt it, because the physical copy I think might have done well. I don't know. I really, really like Stoneblade Entertainment's games. I've been really impressed with all their stuff. I was really hyped up on their Shards of Infinity pledge when I covered that twice on my page now. So here we have Soulforge Fusion. I'm giving this one my thumbs up. Like, the game looks super cool. I would love to play it. Jumping in here at like the $10 thing for the early access digital doesn't seem bad. You're going to get a pretty good little roguelike game with the campaign, and then you have the Kickstarter only starter decks. And if you ever buy physical copies, you have access to the game. So I think it might be something to invest into. I'm not totally sure. I just wish that the way they marketed this was a little better, because it just feels like purely digital to me. But that's it. So we're coming up to our final game here, and that is Formula GP by Ducks Game. Now this one only has 65,000 euros. It's about a day left in the campaign, 844 backers. I wanted to feature this one because this 1 to 6 players, by the way, plays about 30 to 120 minutes. But this one feels like what Heat Pedal to the Metal should have been. Heat to the Pedal to the Metal is a game that people love. My copy is literally like right there, and I think Heat Pedal to the Metal is like a 6 and maybe 6.5 or 7 out of 10 in terms of the rating scale. It's a good game, but I think it's highly overrated, and it really loses its luster after so many plays, and you wish there was more to it. And Formula GP kind of adds the things that I wish Heat had. So let's talk about it. So here we have the gameplay setup. These tiles are modular, so you can build the track as you wish, placing them where you want, which is cool. One of the things I liked about Heat was it came with 4 tracks, but those eventually become known and replay and like lose replayability after a while. So here you have a fully buildable modular track, which is incredibly cool. Has a very similar gameplay as you play cards from your hand. They have different speeds, just like Heat, which are going to set your pace. And as you come around corners, you have to make sure you're playing things properly so that you don't crash or spin out or anything like that. You also have different types of setups you can do with your car, so you can change your, the way your car has drag and whatnot. There's different types of tire setups. There's tire degradation in this game. There's even pit stops. You can see there's a pit row right here that you can go and access. Weather changes, and a lot of these things are also included in Heat. But what I saw from here looked like a much more robust system. But there's an asterisk there. What I see here is a potential game that looks very unpolished right now and maybe a little fiddly. And I feel like this is like kind of like the prototype of what could be a great game and might need a little bit more work, because it seemed a little kind of funky trying to understand all the components and stuff. I think there's a great shell here, and maybe in time this will be a really good game. I love the miniatures. I love the theming. I like this is set in modern day formula rather than 1950s formula. I think that's cool. I love the aspect of the pit car, the pace car, the pit modes. A lot of this just feels very, very kind of like what Heat could have been. But again, I'm not sure if this has everything I need to feel comfortable backing it. But yeah, it seems cool. So I want to talk about it, Formula GP. So that is going to be wrapping us up. Let's wrap up to my main camera. So that's the skipper back for the week. In terms of the games, I'm probably the most excited to look at. I thought Critter Kitchen looked pretty good. Spiritfire looked, good. Not a game I'd play. And Soulforge Fusion is probably going to be my high recommendations. Those are the 3 games and 3 campaigns that I would most likely back if I were to back any of these campaigns right now. A lot of the other things are either skips or they don't personally fall into my line. In terms of what I think a lot of people would love, overall, Critter Kitchen is going to be the one. The next one is the Gilded Realms. I think Gilded Realms has got a lot of people kind of talking about it. They like the aspects of the Euro play style, but also having the interaction with your opponents. So that's Backer Skip. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Today, like I said, this last week was so rough. Got super sick. I fell down the stairs and broke my toe. Can you believe that? Just a rough week. So I'm glad to be back and getting videos out for you guys. I'm going to have another video out after this one goes live talking about my Crokinole board that I just got. I want to shout them out. That board is so cool. I love the game. So we'll have a dedicated video kind of talking about that after this video, so probably on Wednesday. And then I want to get back into doing more dedicated, like a Should You Back at least once a week if I can do that. And then we'll have maybe like Friday be, a whatever video, maybe a discussion video, a board game club where we talk like a gameplay video, whatever. So we're still working out the kind of ins and outs of how the channel is going to be. It's been almost 4 years I've been doing this damn thing, and I'm still trying to figure out how I want to do a weekly segment. Can you believe that, guys? It's so crazy. But I appreciate you guys for staying in so long, being a part of the community, following me on this adventure. If you want to help me out and support the community, we have a Patreon link down below. I'd love you to check it out. You can join for $1. We also have a Discord that I love to have some more people on there and chatting board games with me and just sharing their stories. So if you want to check those 2 links out, I would really appreciate it. Thank you again, and I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.